All right, board gaming enthusiasts, we're jumping in here, building our checklist, solo board games. How to build, how to capture, how to create that narrative. And I'm not talking about, for the focus of this vlog, the perspective of which titles in your collection play really, really well, but more from the side of putting down, setting up, playing a board game, and trying to optimize the solo experience. Now, some board games out there, I'm going to pull a few titles from my collection like Zombicide or Runebound, solo perfectly well, right out of the box. Other board games, for me, capture the narrative. If you've been following my channel, you know I'm a massive Conan enthusiast. And Conan, it's an excellent, excellent board game, but it's an overlord type system, one versus many, where the overlord controls the minions and the players control Conan. Requires a little bit of a house rule, requires a little bit of adjustment. It can be done for a solo experience. We're going to put those ideas aside and focus on getting the most out of the game on the table. So the first thing that I do, I try to take into account my time and my space. So what I mean by that is certain games I can sit down and, like Runebound, play in an afternoon. Other games like Kingdom Death Monster, when I want to solo that, that takes a little bit of preparation. I want to commit to an entire Lantern Year campaign. So we're talking about looking over some previous campaigns, having the game set up for 2 or 3 months. Do I want to commit to that commitment? Or do I want something that can play a little bit faster? Now, in the Fritz Cave, I have a dedicated gaming table that I use for Battletech, Warhammer 40K, Wings of Glory, X-Wing miniatures, and also board gaming. I also do a little bit of hobby, a little bit of painting there, and some other aspects. So having a dedicated space, if it's possible, that's the number one thing with solo board gaming, to the point where if it's a quick play title or an extended title, having the ability to set something up and play through it when I can, how I want to, that I find to be the first primary criteria. To be able to set things up, play, put it away, set things up, play, put it away, sometimes that's a little bit disruptive. You know, another great example, I love Pathfinder, the adventure card game. There are times where I really feel jazzed to play it. I want to put together a party and go through the entire campaign. That requires a lot of setup. That requires having everything ready. Gloomhaven players, I'm a massive Gloomy fan. You know what I'm talking about. Gloomhaven wants to be set up. It wants to be dedicated to play. I find when I am able to do this, now there were times where literally my gaming table was like a little folding table with a piece of cardboard over it, and I would kind of set it up in a place in my apartment where I had some actual space to play at the time. Having that set up means I can step in, I can play when I have breaks in my schedule, or if there's an afternoon to dedicate. Having the title set up ready to go adds to that narrative. So that's kind of the first thing on the checklist. Can you cultivate, can you carve out a little bit of space where you can leave the game set up to play it at your own pace? Second to this would be optimally setup itself. Now, this is where things are a little bit different when playing with a group or playing at a hobby store or a gaming club. When I play at a gaming club, and I love the board gaming narrative, the back and forth, space kind of dictates the layout. If we have a lot of players, if we have a lot of club members showing up at that night playing a lot of different titles, which is fantastic, literally the space I have to play is going to be kind of on top of each other. It's going to be all kind of crunched in. Likewise, if we play some of the bigger title games, when we bust out Zombicide or Massive Darkness, we've got 6, 8, 10, 12 players. We're breaking the rules on the table. Having everything within reach is important. Players are moving, you're setting up monsters, you're drawing cards. It tends to lead towards a very, very crowded table. Well, the opposite is with solo board gaming. What I like to try and do, and I know this is easier with some titles than others, but I like to have, wherever I'm sitting or wherever I'm standing and playing, the immediate field of view is just the board itself and maybe my character sheets or the aspect that I'm playing. The tokens, the cards, the counters, the logistics, the background that runs the game. If I can put that off to the side a little bit, maybe a separate table, or if I'm playing on a bigger table, push that out. Because one of the things I want to take advantage, one of the things that we want to take advantage of with solo board gaming is immersion into the narrative. I don't have to worry about winning and losing, although I'm going to try and win. I don't have to worry about taking up time or analysis paralysis or figuring out what's happening, what's going on. I can sit here and enjoy the experience at my own pace. I find this when it's my turn, flip some cards, get into the narrative, imagine it, pick up the dice before I roll it. And we're going to get to solo rules in a moment. Before I roll those dice, think about, what do I need? Can I do this? Is this that moment of action? And being a board game, I want to take advantage of the physical components, whether it's miniatures or standees or wonderful artwork, or just in a card game, Pathfinder the Adventure card game, the layout. I want to be able to look and really see and focus and put myself into that world, put myself into that analog world. And the difference between playing on, say, a digital tablet, digital board games versus analog, I want to have that feedback. I want to have that control over the speed. So I want to just focus on it. So what is the breakdown? What does your space look like? Ideally, we're talking ideally here. The next aspect, enforcement of the rules. Enforcement of the rules. Holding myself to a very, very, very high standard. Have there been times where I've invested hours of playing only to lose at the end because I tactically made a mistake? Well, that's the story. That's the journey. I mean, I love Dark Souls, grinding out souls to the end, getting a little greedy, not necessarily quitting while I'm ahead, and it's cost me the game. I don't have to worry about the other players in the game if they are having fun, or what crazy actions I might do to impact the game. Now, what do I mean by that? Building this checklist, there are no takebacks, in my opinion, with solo board gaming. And we're not talking about you made a mistake in the rule and you kind of figure it out, meaning I'm going to open that chest and there's a chance something might happen. I need to roll the dice. Pathfinder the Adventure card game, I pull a barrier, it's a chest, gain 1d4 new items. I don't need it to necessarily win this mission, but we're midway through, no spoilers, we're midway through the campaign. In the spawn deck, there's some interesting loot. There's some nice stuff in there. I could really use a couple of more potions, a couple of more magic weapons. Let's see what happens. The safe thing would be to leave the chest alone, bypass it, close out the location, finish the mission. But I'm going to go for it. And of course, it's trapped or something happens. So with that, I find once I roll the dice, that's it. It's the wargaming aspect, Wargamer Fritz. In wargaming, you can move your miniatures around. You can figure out what you can do. You can measure. You can take anything you want back. But as soon as you roll the dice, the fates have been invoked, and that is that. So from that perspective, solo board gaming, I don't take things back with rolling the dice. That's it. I make a decision. Now, what this leads to is tension in a good way, because it lets me explore possibilities. It lets me go for amazing tabletop glory. I do my best to contain that enthusiasm when I'm playing with a group, right? Where it's like, Fritz, we don't need to open the chest. We don't need to open it. And I realize if I do, we might lose the game, or it might cause resources or cause someone else to die, and now I've lost the game for 4 or 5 other players. I try to keep that glory down to a minimum as best as I can. Although, look, sometimes you have to go for the glory. But tabletop solo board gaming, this is where I want to encourage you to try different strategies, to try different combinations. This again feeds back to the narrative. Try different parties, try different aspects, try different opportunities. You may lose the game, but you've had 2 or 3 hours of immersion into this world. Another great example, I love Runebound. Runebound is a fantastic game. We're talking Runebound 3rd edition. I love 2nd edition also. Runebound 3rd edition, as you go on a quest, there are 3 types of quest gems. So the idea is you move around on the map, you end on a gem, you expend an action, you flip a card, and the card is going to have a story point to resolve. A fight, some skill checks, a quest. One of the gems is pure fights. Another gem is social interactions, and another is quest interactions. Now, you want to get gold, you want to get items, you want to level up, you want a mix of all three of these quests, a mix of all three of these gems. And obviously fighting gives you the most gold, but it has the most chance to get killed or burn resources that you might need. It is entirely possible. It's not easy. I've done it. Non-combat runebound. Just going through the social interaction and playing it from that perspective. Just try and hit up all the social quests and level up, get gold and level up from that perspective. So I encourage you, solo, to really look and try out some crazy stuff. Try out some what ifs. Try out some different character combinations. We always have the type of characters we gravitate towards and want to play. Look to see what else you can explore. That's the 3 points. Those are the 3 points that I try to set up, I try to hit in every aspect of solo board gaming. Now I'm going to turn it over to you guys because we want to get the most out of that time. Tips for completely solo rolling, tips for completely solo board gaming, how to get the most out of the experience.